allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mike. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Johnson,
Here.
Councilmember Losi,
Here.
Councilmember Stanfield,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Trent,
Here.
Long.
Here. All right, thank you. Welcome to our city council meeting tonight. We have some presentations and proclamations. The first one being introduction of Jake Burns, our assistant city engineer.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everybody, Honorable Mayor and City Council. It's my pleasure this evening to introduce the newest member of the city's engineering division, Assistant City Engineer Jake Burns. After graduating from Humboldt with his degree in environmental engineering, Jake took a position as an operator here at the city's wastewater treatment plant. Over the past 2.5 years in that position, Jake has used his strong background in engineering science, computer technology, and pure self-motivation to improve and expand the capabilities of our operations at the plant. Moving into his new position as Assistant City Engineer, I think Jake will be well suited to apply his previous experience and skills to a new set of challenges, of which I have no doubt he will not only be able to handle, but thrive in. Outside of his work life, Jake enjoys playing music, being outdoors, taking on new challenges, and overall is a very pleasant individual to be around. I feel very lucky to have him as the newest member of our division. And without any further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce Jake Burns.
Hey everybody. Well, shoot, thanks Brendan for the kind words. I really appreciate hearing that. Yeah, so like Brendan was saying, I've worked with and for the city of Fortuna for coming up on 3 years, and I just want to say that I'm really excited and I'm really grateful and thankful, especially to Brendan and Merritt. I'm gonna learn so much from those two. I've already learned a ton in my position with the wastewater treatment plant. I think the transition into engineering is going to be an easy one. I can already tell that Brendan and I are becoming a well-oiled machine, and I'm excited to get some good work going. So thank you guys.
Well, congratulations, Jake, on your new position. We appreciate it. All right, our next one is introduction of Robert Hanson, street maintenance worker 2.
Hello, everybody. The honorable mayor and council members. Hope your weekend was fun and exciting as everyone else is here in town. It was a great turnout, and thank you for the support of City Fortuna for sure. Right now, I'm just want to introduce you our newest member to Streets 2 is Robert Hanson. And Robert is a local fella that has a ranch over in the Ferndale Bottoms around, and he has worked with dairy cows and different things like that. And so I just want to introduce you to Robert. And if Robert is able to just have some words to say, that'd be great.
Robert, you're on mute.
Sorry about that.
There you go.
Just want to thank the city of Fortuna for the opportunity to work for you. Like Bob was saying, I have a ranch in Ferndale. Had a dairy for 19 years and recently sold the cows, and I'm starting the next stage of my life with the city of Fortuna. Looking forward to working here. We've got some good people on the crew that I'm getting to know pretty well, and I look forward to it. And so thank you so much.
Welcome. We appreciate it. Our next presentation is Fortuna Fire Department, provided by Fire Chief Lon Winburn.
All right, I believe I'm unmuted. Hello, everybody. Honorable Mayor, City Council members, thanks for having me in a quarterly. Actually, I think it's a semi-annual report now, or this one happens to be because I don't believe I gave a quarterly back in April. So to give you a little rundown on what we've been doing call volume wise, for the first 6 months of the year, we've responded to 925 requests for service. 72% of those are medical aid calls. We've had 50 fires, 7 of those are structure fires. We've ran 705 rescue and medical. 662 medical calls, 30 traffic collisions, 14 rescue related calls, 12 hazardous conditions, 29 public service calls, 51 alarm activations, and 78 control burns and or canceled en route, that sort of thing, or not as reported. So it's been a fairly busy 6 months for sure, and fire season's here, and our unit is not out. There's currently 3 local government apparatus out in coverage right now. Ours is not one of them, although things aren't getting any drier or any colder, so, or wetter, I should say. So, I mean, they are getting drier and not getting wetter, so I'm sure we'll be busy out there soon, whether it be coverage or strike team stuff or whatever the case may be. So I thought I would go over a little bit of our, we've been going through a little planning process here at the fire district, kind of reviewing our 5-year strategic plan that we put in place back in 2016. Taking a look at that, seeing where we're at, both in, project wise and financial wise and all that sort of thing. And we're actually pretty well on track, but we're struggling with those medical aid responses I mentioned to you, and we're struggling with single engine response. That call volume, obviously, in a volunteer agency is tough, so we're looking at different ways with the goal of sustaining a volunteer agency on how we might better serve the community more consistently, I guess I would say. And we came up with through about 6-8 months of planning, we came up with some options. A couple of them we can't afford. But what we can afford is to build our resident program to the point where we can depend on it a little bit more. We've been fairly successful with that, and we have room for upstairs. We have room for 3 to 4 residents, and still allows room for our volunteer shift folks that come on and pull shifts. We've just about completed living quarters up at the Hydesville station, which we will use for residency. They won't, they'll reside up in Hydesville. They'll come down here to pull shifts. And in addition to that, we're offering some scholarships to entice folks at the local college level, through Humboldt State, College of the Redwoods, and even reaching out beyond that. And eventually with the Royersville Road Station, there'll be resident quarters there as well. So our goal is to get about 7 or 8 full-time residents, and just doing the math, that can really make a big difference on our ability to be staffed 24/7. Not quite there yet. So that's going on. We've a little bit about funding. As you probably know, Sunrise Rotary did their major fundraiser for the year, and we were very fortunate for them to pick us as their charity that they wanted to donate to. They raised $21,000, $21,116.86. That was huge. They did a great job with it, and it was a fun event. So, and I'm sure some of you participated in that. So thank you for that. We've got a few grants in process. We've got we upgraded our CPR mannequins to teach CPR with. That was an approved grant for a little over $7,000. We've got some academy funding grant request out there and at about $5,000, and that's pending. We're hoping to get that approved. We recently were awarded a $12,000 grant to equip our newest fire apparatus with equipment. That is what we call a Type 6. It's an F550. It's 5500 Dodge. It's a what we call a quick attack or a brush truck. And it's currently stationed down here at the downtown station. So it is in service. It fought its first fire, mutual aid fire out at Table Bluff with Lolita and Ferndale and CAL FIRE just last week. So it's up and running. We're pretty excited to have that. And then we have an approved grant for $277,000 towards the purchase of a fire engine, which will be happening within the next year, probably, or at least ways the purchase will happen, and then the build time is a year out. So we're pretty excited about that. That's been a good thing. We're always looking for help. We're always looking to build membership, especially in the support world. whether it be for just running medical aid type stuff. We've got, we can use help with our Explorer program. We can use help with our community emergency response team. We can use help, you know, clerical, social media, website stuff, all of that sort of thing. So this is an outreach pitch to maybe reach out there to the community and let them know that there is had somebody come in today and says, oh, I don't want to run into a burning building. And I told them you don't have to. We'll take you as you are and we'll put you to work. So it's not all about firefighting for sure. So, and lastly, major projects. You all know the Ronerville Roads site is moving along. We still are on track to break ground this year. We probably won't build this year. Well, not probably. We won't build this year. Prices are too high, so the Commissioner Board has opted to probably do some infrastructure work, but no construction at this point. I'm sure you know that we have a ribbon cutting and a street dedication scheduled for this Wednesday, 5:30, here at the new training site. The street dedication, of course, is to be dedicated to Dave Nicholson, as I'm sure you know. So it will be Nicholson Way. And thank you to the city for allowing us to utilize way as opposed to lane or whatever. It just wasn't going to fit, especially since we have Westcott Way coming in and we have Nicholson Way going out. So anyway, we appreciate that. And so we're looking forward to that event tomorrow. Wednesday, I think, is National Hot Dog Day. Pretty sure. So I believe you'll see some hot dogs down there. So come on down. And that's all my report. Open it up to questions if you have any.
Thank you, Lon. Does anyone? All right, hearing none, we appreciate all you do, and we appreciate the department and all the volunteers, and we'll see you Wednesday.
All right, thank you.
All right, our next presentation is by our Fortuna Police Chief, Casey Day.
Thank you, Mayor Long. Sienna, can I share my screen?
Yes, you can.
Okay, good evening, Honorable Mayor Long and Honorable City Council. It's my pleasure to be here tonight, and I am proud to make the first and second quarter presentation for the Fortuna Police Department City Council. Let's see. There we go. So, talking a little bit about the direction of the police department, the Fortuna Police Department really does place the highest value on respect and dignity of all of our community and the citizens who live and work here. All people are created equal and are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights. That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The relationship between law enforcement and the communities they serve must be grounded in trust. So beginning in January of this year, 2021, the police department desired to take a regional lead in principled policing, procedural justice, and in understanding implicit bias. Featured in the photo, School Resource Officer Lindsay Frank and Detective Ryan Richardson were selected among department members as the department's principled policing and procedural justice instructors. So Officer Frank and Detective Richardson were sent to Sacramento, California to attend a Train the Trainer course certified by the California Commission on Peace Officers Standard and Training. This training not only certified the two as instructors, but certified them as instructor trainers, which is far more advanced. In addition, Detective Richardson also attended and was certified by the National Museum of Tolerance in the second quarter of 2021 as an implicit bias instructor. This too was a Train the Trainer course. So going forward, Officer Frank and Detective Richardson will not only be available to train Fortuna PD personnel, but will also be available to train members from our allied agencies here in the Northern Coastal region. As an organization, we feel passionately that the Fortuna Police Department should set the example and take a leadership role within our region, which is why we have invested in the acute development of our programs and the development of our instructor cadre. During the first 2 quarters of 2021, K-9 Team Kane and Officer Dennis Stevens achieved dual certifications. Both certifications were recognized and approved by the California Commission on Peace Officer Standard and Training. Kane and Dennis are now fully certified in patrol and apprehension work, as well as narcotic detection. The K-9 team achieved these certifications in March and June, respectively. Here, council will see all Part 1 major crime statistics reported to the Uniform Crime Report for the first and second quarters of 2021. During this time frame, there were no homicides, 2 sexual assaults, 2 robberies, 19 assaults, 29 burglaries, 99 other acts of larceny, 10 vehicle thefts, and 3 arsons. Of all Part 1 crimes, Fortuna is down except for the assault category, which was just slightly up. Council is now looking at a statistical comparison. The current first and second quarters of 2021 were compared to the third and fourth quarters of last year. As you can see, the blue font is representative of categorical decreases in the first 2 quarters of 2021. And I'll leave that there for just a second. Domestic violence statistics for the first and second quarter were separately tracked. Between January and June of 2021, police responded to 95 calls for service, which were domestic violence related. And for the remainder of this report, I will use the term DV related instead of domestic violence. 19 DV related arrests were made in total, and 9 separate DV related criminal complaints were submitted to the district attorney's office for consideration of arrest warrant issuance. Here is a snapshot of the first and second quarter enforcement statistics. Both quarters were extremely consistent, as you can see. To date, the Fortuna police have received a total of 10,510 calls for service, 407 total arrests have been made, and 500 citations have been issued. In addition, I also compared the first and second quarter statistics this year against the first and second quarter statistics for last year. I thought this particular comparison may be helpful for council to see, for council and the community to see. Total incidents, total arrests, and total citations issued have all increased in 2021 from 2020 for the first and second quarters. So what is the bottom line? The bottom line is that Fortuna is a safe community. As you can see, Part 1 major crimes are down and enforcement statistics are up. Bouncing arrows. Let's see, here we go. All right. So problem-oriented policing, detectives, code enforcement, and K-9 are all funded by Measure E. Measure E funding has afforded a continued opportunity to expand on programs, personnel, and professional services to our community. During the first and second quarter, a problem-oriented policing team was selected. Although Measure E only funds 1 POP position, several other officers within the department were interested in proactively addressing quality of life issues facing the city of Fortuna. 3 officers were initially selected to work on problem-oriented policing issues as a collateral or ancillary duty. Obviously, this is a huge statement about how much the city's police officers actually care about the community, and in my professional opinion, is that much more can be accomplished by spearheading problems as a team. The Detectives Bureau investigates major crimes, and at times they investigate extremely sophisticated crimes. Our detectives routinely assist with time-consuming follow-up investigation, surveillance, and covert investigations. Detectives wrote a significant number of search warrants during the first and second quarter and have been extremely proactive in addressing more significant and problematic issues within our community. Shown here is a suspect booking photo from the Campton Heights shooting in May of 2021. After reviewing the final report and the investigation on this matter that was authored by detectives, I found it to be extremely diligent and thorough. Our K-9 program continues to blossom, and the department is extremely grateful to the Measure E Committee and to the Fortuna City Council. The department takes the K-9 program very seriously and continues to fundraise to augment and grow this vital program. As previously reported, Kane and Officer Stevens received their dual certifications during the first and second quarter. The K-9 program has been a blessing for the entire region, and Kane and Officer Stevens have assisted our outside allied agencies as well. During the first and second quarter, I received numerous emails and thank yous from our community as well as our allied agencies for our K-9 program and our assistance with criminal investigations. Kane and Stevens remain devoted to the definition of community and frequently participate in community events. Shown here, Stevens and Kane ran as a team in this year's 5K rodeo run. They have also presented and demoed for other departments. Specifically, demonstrations were done for the children attending summer fun at the request of Park Director Cameron Mole. Code enforcement is another Measure E funded program, which has been extremely successful. Between January and June of 2021, the following projects were completed. Up on the screen, there's a list of addresses, and I'm just going to summarize for council kind of what was accomplished. So at the Acacia Drive, an abatement warrant was served and the structure was demolished on 9th Street. Reports of transient living in the front yard that was vacated or abated after a letter was sent to the property owner. On Ivy Lane, subjects that were unlawfully living in a motorhome in the front yard of a residence, as well as junk cars in the driveway and just general trash and debris around the residence. There is actually abatement in progress after the final abatement notice was sent. At the 3150 Ronerville address, final notice was sent. Subjects living in motorhome and front yard, junk vehicles, trash and yard, brush has been removed by the property owner. 1319 Ronerville Road, power was restored to the residents who paid CWS assisted with paying the past due PG&E bill and repair costs of electrical panel. The red tag has since been removed. On Tony Drive, abatement notice was sent. On Thomas Road, structure was destroyed by a fire and a city manager's hearing was held. The property owner demolished structure at their own cost. On Kenmore Road, trash on the property, a letter was sent and the property owner abated the issue. Rancheria Road, appliances and trash thrown off the hillside. Sean Swanson was contacted and assisted with removing debris. And 3800 Roner Street, trash and debris in the front yard. The owner was contacted and the issues were abated by the owner. Over 40 letters were sent out in total during the first and second quarter to property owners to cut their grass or brush on their properties, and about 90% have complied and abated the issue at the location. So normally I show photographs of some of these projects, but this time I am featuring a photo of our code enforcement officer, Wayne Hansen, with a purpose. I just want to emphasize that the right people are a very important element in the success and or failures of our programs. And in tonight's report, it was important to me to relay to the council how proud I am of Wayne. He is definitely a go-getter and a quality staff member that gets things done and who produces a tangible result. Last week, I received a message from an anonymous citizen who observed Wayne cleaning up debris and garbage in the street. which he had just observed on routine patrol duties. Again, I'm extremely proud of Wayne, and I wish to publicly congratulate him on an outstanding performance of his duties. The Fortuna Police Department is also extremely thankful for the funding of Measure Z. Measure Z fully funds the department school resource officer position and the department's drug task force officer. I felt compelled to report the accomplishments of our personnel currently working in our Measure Z funded positions. During the first 2 quarters, our drug task force agent received a letter of commendation for outstanding service from the task force commander. And most of that has been redacted. I know it's hard to read, but some of that stuff we have to kind of redact and keep private. And then on to the school resource officer. This is kind of a big deal. Lindsay Frank received a national award for Region 9 from the National Association of School Resource Officers. During the second quarter, she actually traveled to Orlando, Florida to receive her award for exceptional service. Officer Frank was the one SRO selected from Region 9, which includes multiple states, California, Oregon, Washington, Nevada, Alaska, and Hawaii. And to say that I'm proud of Lindsay would be a gross understatement. I truly feel like she is a fantastic human being and a significant contributor to the community here in Fortuna and the Eel River Valley. Department staffing and recruitment has been going well. It's not a secret. Agencies throughout the state of California continue to struggle with recruitment. Our region is no different. However, I'm very pleased with the cause and effect and the overall result here in Fortuna. We are now attracting seasoned laterals from our allied agencies, and I feel as though there is a direct correlation with the cultural changes which have been made within the Fortuna Police Department within the last year or so. In the first 2 quarters, we hired Taylor Halsey from Redding, California, who is doing great. He's doing outstanding in the field training program currently, and Taylor is already making quite an impression with our community, as I have received a number of compliments from city staff and local business owners. During the first and second quarter, we interviewed and placed 2 experienced local lateral officers into the background investigation phase, one for the open sergeant's position and one for an open officer position. We currently have a local candidate in background for the open dispatcher position and have been interviewing community service officer candidates for the part-time CSO job. One additional goal that the department has set for 2021 involves the addition of volunteers. Specifically, the department is currently working on a program and looking to recruit a small element of 3 to 4 specialty volunteers who will concentrate solely on liaison activity and resources for our community business owners. Grants and fundraising are going extremely well. The Fortuna Police Department has received overwhelming financial support from grants, fundraising, anonymous donations, and community donations. We are also maintaining all of the grants used historically and are constantly and consistently seeking new grants that become available. Allied agency relationships are alive and well. Through collaboration and the proactive pursuit of positive relationships with our law enforcement partners, it is the department's intent to develop and maintain current relationships and pursue new relationships as well. In the first and second quarter, a new 3-year dispatch services MOU was solidified with Rio Dell and Ferndale. Agency representatives continue to work collaboratively with the Drug Task Force, the SWAT team, and our K-9 program now offers a tangible resource for mutual aid requests within the region. In regards to external relationships, I thought the council should probably know what the chief has been up to. So currently I am serving as the director of the executive board for the Drug Task Force and the secretary for the Law Enforcement Chief Executives Association for Humboldt, or LECA. I'm currently presenting the idea of a COAP program, which stands for Chronic Offender Accountability Program, to our allied partners, including the Humboldt District Attorney. I'm currently serving on a solution-driven team of local police chiefs to improve mental health services, and I provided the keynote graduation speech during the most recent academy graduation in June. Community engagement continues to be a staple in our commitment to doing our part to stay involved. The lifting of the COVID-19 blueprint restriction has allowed such things as Coffee with the Chief to return to an in-person event, and the department has been extremely involved in the event planning during the first and second quarters. The department's crime prevention strategies are significantly developed utilizing the community policing model. I talked a little about this last time. The department is engaged in town hall meetings and group discussions with community groups during the first and second quarter in an attempt to educate the public on community-driven solutions. Neighborhood watch programs and our volunteers are also an integral part of these strategies. Also, last time I reported on the 2020 Command Staff Leadership Project. I will continue to facilitate these leadership projects annually as Fortuna Police Department has embraced a culture of becoming lifelong learners. The 2021 leadership study will include a study of successes and pitfalls experienced by the characters of the HBO series Band of Brothers. So to kind of close out, I started and I'm going to end with kind of the direction. So the direction of the Fortuna Police Department is pretty simple. The department will continue to embrace organizational values, a shared and clear vision, and there will be a concerted effort on updating the overall image of the department. I am extremely proud of this department and the department staff, and I'm very honored to serve the council, the city, and our community as the chief of police. I would like to again express my appreciation for your time, and I hope this presentation was helpful and enjoyable. If there are any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Chief. Does anyone from the council have questions, comments? I was wondering how Lindsay Frank got nominated for that award. Was there a nomination process, or how did they just choose her?
Yes, there's absolutely. It's a national nomination process, and you know, one of the things that we started doing here, there was a big push when I came on about a year ago for command to start looking for opportunities and looking for the good things that our people do. Lieutenant Eberhardt had actually, in looking at the National Association of School Resource Officers, he was reading, you know, some of the awards and nominations that were available this year. We met in private in my office, and the highest award, the Exceptional Service Award, we both felt strongly that Lindsay far exceeded kind of what the description of that award was. And so we put together and submitted a pretty thorough package along with some 20 letters of support from different community members, ranging from staff to council to teachers and superintendents and former students who had graduated and gone on to actual careers in either corrections or law enforcement. Just, you know, people who had really been affected and impacted by Lindsay and the work that she does. And I think we were on the right track because the National Association of SROs felt the same way. And ultimately, she was recognized for the enormous contribution that she makes here in the Eel River Valley.
Well, I appreciate you guys taking the time to do that. Very, very deserving. Anyone else have questions or comments? All right. Well, thanks for joining us tonight, and thanks for the report.
Thank you right along. Thank you, council.
All right, we will move on to oral comments from the public. Does anyone, I don't see any hands up. Does anyone from the public have any comments or questions for the council that are not on the agenda? I see no hands raised. Yana, no phone calls.
No.
Okay. So as we go through the agenda, there should be a number on your screen that you can call if you want to comment. So if you would like to join in the conversation, please do so. All right, we have several items on our consent calendar, including city council minutes and our monthly reports from administrative, community development, finance department, parks and rec, police department, public works, River Lodge, report of disbursements, approve an appointment to Fortuna Business Improvement District, Board of Directors, and approve the annual property tax assessment for several districts. Does anyone wish to pull anything?
I wish to pull B, D, and J.
Anyone else?
I would like J, also K.
Mike, okay. All right, let's take them one at a time. You pulled B.
On B, I noticed that we had no applicants for the park maintenance part-time position or the school or the street maintenance part-time position. And I know that we've done it before, and it might be something we need to consider again, is to maybe put those two jobs into a full-time position, even though that would cost us more because we'd have to pay benefits, but part-time at parks and part-time at street. If we can't get anybody in the part-time position, just an idea that we might have to consider. That's all I have on B.
Okay, go ahead, D.
D, I just wanted to acknowledge that we had 22 new business licenses applied for between August 1st and June 17th. So I like to see those numbers continuing to go up, new businesses coming into Fortuna. That's all on D.
And Tammy and Mike, you both had J, which is approve appointment to Fortuna Business Improvement District Board of Directors. Tammy, you go first and then we'll get Mike's.
Okay. Last time we had an applicant, I asked to be able to see the applications, or it needs to be worded different because it's hard for me to approve somebody that I don't know anything about without seeing any information on them. So I don't know if we can change the process to maybe like we do with our board, approve the mayor's appointment, or on this one, maybe approve the director's appointment. But it's hard for me to personally approve somebody that I don't know anything about and don't know an application.
Mike, what were your comments or questions?
My comment is that from the letter of interest that Ms. Hobbleman presented, I believe her intent would be to bring in commercial sales, maybe cultivation, maybe manufacturing into Fortuna. I'm just not sure that our business community, let alone the community at large, would be comfortable with those types of businesses in Fortuna. I think this is a question that we still have to discover. We still have to come up with some answers. And I also think that since this position is the city council's representative, that we need to maybe come up with our own candidates, provide our own names for our own candidates. So for those reasons, I'm not able to support this appointment.
Mike, I believe that's a mistake in the application. It's the citywide representative. The council representative is a council member. So this one would not be the council's representative. It would be the citywide representative.
No, let me run that for you again. The citywide is already Yasmin, and I can't think of her last name. This would be the city council appointment. And then our city council member is only a liaison. He or she is not a voting member of the board.
Okay, I got misinformation then, because I was told that this was not the city council representative. So
I would just like to clarify, if I could please, the municipal code actually says it's the city of Fortuna appointment. It doesn't actually use the word council. So correct, council member Stanfield is the liaison, but it's actually the city of Fortuna representative, and there are other citywide representatives already on the FBID board.
So city of Fortuna, does it say as appointed by the city council, or does it just say city of Fortuna?
It just says city of Fortuna.
Okay, I don't know why we were calling it the council appointment in our meeting, but we were.
And I think the letter, the FBID letter also refers to it as a city council appointment, which the letter has incorrect wording.
Okay, so we're all wrong. I'm good with that.
Except for what I believe the intent would be with regard to the letter that she presented to council. So for those reasons that I stated, I'm not able to approve this appointment to the FBID board. Hopefully other council people have some input to that.
I'm looking for the letter and I don't know what page it is.
Well, while you're looking for the letter, if I could make a comment.
Go ahead.
I did read this earlier today, and looking back at it again, I do see that Ms. Hobelman says that the bulk of her business is in the track and trace management. As I have read about that itself does not involve the commercial on her part as managing it and seeing it through. It has to do with the origin and the keeping track of the legalized grow product. I looked further down again to see, and she does say that she has a vested interest in seeing local businesses succeed. And that's what she would like to help do, is to grow businesses and see them prosper. I don't know that it's her intent for any specific business, but I don't think that she's looking to specifically promote one business over another.
I'm not saying a particular business, but in general, the cannabis sales or cultivating or manufacturing. And part of her business, it says here in the letter, I'm reading it, provide marketing, branding, copywriting, administrative support, technical writing. So it would involve more than what you're alluding to, I think, Mike. But at any rate, and I'm prepared to make a motion whenever we get to that point.
So I was at the meeting when Emily was brought forth as a candidate, and I don't feel like there's any bias in her motivation to serve at the FBID level. I think her motivation is in line with FBID's enthusiasm and energy and refocus. Emily's got her hand up also. I think she'd like to speak if that's allowed. But I would vote in favor of Emily for the other things that she brings to the table with the 15 years of experience.
Does any other council member have any comments before I call on Emily? All right, seeing none. Emily, would you like to speak?
Yes, thank you. Hey, I'm out exercising. Hi, everyone. Thanks for considering me for this position. I'll just address Council Member Losey's concern right off the bat. I do mostly work with cannabis businesses, that is true, but I do not personally have an agenda in terms of what kind of businesses belong in this community or not. I do live here, so I have a say in that respect, but that is ultimately up to the city council to make decisions like that. As I said in my letter, I have a vested interest in seeing businesses in this community succeed. I live here, I work here, and I bring a lot to the table in terms of my consulting expertise with marketing, branding, technical writing, all of those different things. So I'm a pretty capable professional in that sense. And while I work with cannabis businesses, I would serve the FBID board's interests in the city council's interest as well. I don't personally have a stake in how the city moves forward in terms of welcoming cannabis businesses. So I do appreciate your consideration. I read Diana's letter. I thought she was a little heavy-handed on emphasizing the cannabis element of my business. But it's true, you know, I am an entrepreneur in that industry, but I don't directly work with cannabis myself. I am a support business. So thanks again for considering me. And yeah, I hope I can work with you more closely in the future. Thanks.
Thank you, Emily. Do any of the council members have any questions for Emily before she continues her exercise? Mike, did that answer any of your questions?
Just verified more of what was in the letter and in the packet.
All right, any other comments or questions on that item?
One other thing is that the city appointment has been vacant since Mark Seitz was put on the planning commission. So I think that's been about 7 months that the city doesn't have a voice at the, or a vote at the FBID level.
Maybe that's one more reason why we need to have somebody that the city council actually knows.
I actually do know her. So I was at the meeting, the FBID meeting when she was brought up and nominated. Socially, kind of long story, intertwined family thing, but I've been around Emily several times in social situations and been around her partner and their children and all of the things. So I actually do know her. Any other comments on that one? Questions, thoughts? All right, Mike, you also pulled the K.
I did. On K, I live in one of the subdivisions that are affected here, so I will have to recuse myself. However, are we going to vote on these items separately? That have been.
I just typically, because these are so, I don't know, routine, I typically just tell Sienna, for instance, on number F, it's the Gullickson stormwater, I typically just say to write me down as abstaining. And I don't really go through the whole recuse and vote on all of them one at a time because it's just such a routine thing. It's not really that big of a deal. So that's how I do it. So if you want to do the same thing, you're welcome to.
Okay.
Just let Sienna know to put in the minutes that you're abstaining on item H.
Yes.
Got it.
Please do.
Okay. Sienna's amazing that way. She takes care of us. Okay, so with all of that, does anyone want to make a motion?
I will move to reject the appointment of Emily Hobbleman to the FBID board. That'll be on item J.
Do we have a second on that? All right, so that motion fails. So do we want to adopt the entire consent calendar?
I think I would like to have J on a separate vote then.
Okay, you can make a motion to adopt A through I and K only.
I will so move on the consent calendar.
Okay,
I'll second.
all right, we have a motion and a second, Sienna, for items A through I and K.
Councilman, sorry,
Go ahead,
Okay.
with
A through I and K.
with abstentions from me on F and from Mike on H.
Got it.
Okay,
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Losi,
Yes.
Councilmember Stanfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Trent,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
yes. Okay, so now we need a motion for item J.
I'll make a motion to approve item J of the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Sienna,
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Losi,
No, did you hear me, Sienna?
I did now, thank you.
Okay.
Councilmember Stanfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Trent,
Yes,
Mayor Long.
yes. All right, thank you, guys. Now we will move on to our regular business, which A is to authorize staff to negotiate professional services contracts with BBW and Associates for on-call forestry consulting services. Staff report, please.
So Kevin Carter with our Public Works Department will be providing the staff report, Mayor Long.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council. It's good to see everybody, or at least talk to everybody. Look forward to seeing everyone in person sooner rather than later. Tonight's item is to authorize the city manager to negotiate professional services contract with the BBW and Associates to provide on-call forestry consulting services for the city of Fortuna for a period of 3 years. Staff requested proposals for on-call forestry consultant services in May. Staff received 2 proposals in June of 2021, and at that time reviewed the proposals, which included the following anticipated work tasks. Developed strategies for forest management of designated city-owned properties, participate in site boards of city-owned property that is designated as forest to be managed with authorized agencies, represent the city in negotiations with authorizing agencies to achieve acceptable forest management permits, handle all other customary activities and services associated with forestry management, identification of potential hazardous trees, presentation at public meetings as required, and a willingness to present innovative ideas for forestry management of specific city-owned properties. Sienna, in particular, the city was, or staff was focused on the Vansel property where the Vansel tank is located. It has a 13-acre parcel, of which 3 of it is occupied by the tank, leaving 10 acres of primarily redwood tree forested property. Can I share my screen, please? I have a short PowerPoint presentation.
Yes, you should be able to share your screen.
Perfect. How's that?
Looks good.
All right, thank you. So I thought that Merritt and I thought that, you know, pictures say 1,000 words. So I wanted to kind of show what's going on up there. And primarily, the intent is to protect our facilities. So this is some photos of some examples of tree proximity to Vansel Reservoir and Pump House, which fallen in a windstorm could provide some damage to our facilities. Off to the left on the top picture, you'll see the actual reservoir itself. And then behind the temporary tanks is the pump house. And you can see trees very close in proximity to them. That's our first goal, is to, you know, create a band, a protective layer or a protective band or a buffer around the facilities. And then the secondary goal is to manage the rest of the property in an ongoing long-term management practices. So we'll be looking at a two-pronged approach. Here is a good example as well of, you know, protection of local, you know, properties. So this is the same location. You can see the tank in the back. You can see the pump house sort of in the middle on the picture on the left. And then there's a residence very close in proximity. And those trees are on city-owned property. And we'll be looking at those within the process. We don't know if they'll be able to be located yet or identified yet to be removed until we go through the entire process with CAL FIRE and other agencies as needed. This is an example of the remaining forest to be evaluated for potential management plan. You can see it's particularly dense, you know, so the first go around would be some clearing. And then from that point, hopefully every 5, 10, 15, 20 years, whatever that ends up being, going back in and managing the property in a sustainable and in a beneficial way, and hopefully in a profitable way as well. We've seen in the past, we've gotten a letter from a forester that said that there is actual possibilities to make money on this. Not a whole lot, but at least some. This is an overall aerial, which shows the location of the tank. It's the football-sized white roofed structure up in the upper left-hand corner. And then, like I said, it approximately leaves 10 acres of city-owned property that is forested. And so that's our primary focus. And then there's some property to the south, which has recently been logged and is up for sale. And so that is potential for property acquisition. It would provide excellent access to the location. And Meredith, if you'd like to expand on that at all, the potential for that, it's yes or no?
Yeah, I just think there's potential to manage this forest. Right now, we don't have great access to the city-owned parcel. And, you know, it makes sense to thin it out to manage that stand in a way that's going to grow more healthy trees, potentially generate some revenue. And it couldn't hurt to look at a potential acquisition and have a small community forest project to work here. So, you know, and I'd say that it's not a high priority for the city to acquire more property, but there is good access that is across that piece of property that could be a potential acquisition that was just listed. So it's something we think about. We may have the forester provide some revenue assessments of what we could generate logging the 10 acres, and who knows, perhaps it could be revenue neutral, pick up the adjacent parcel and have one larger parcel that can be managed. So again, we're not going anywhere without council input and direction on this. And really our primary goal is to protect the reservoir, protect adjacent residences, and then just have that forestry input and staff on board so that we can proceed with whether it's pursuing exemptions or a timber harvest plan to remove the trees on the parcel nearest the reservoir.
Exactly, and with the forester, we'll know that. And either way, we're going to need access to our parcel through there. Our neighbor, which we used to have access to our parcel to the north, has recently done some landscaping, and so we will no longer be able to just drive through the yard. And so we'll have to probably approach the property owner to the south for access and to do that logging in, you know, relatively short, you know, distance. So that may be coming in the future. So for financial impact, there really is no financial impact at this point, other than, you know, for each project, the reimbursement for the forester will be included within the project itself. So it'll be authorized funding that we will be using either through operations or through an actual project. But as of right now, there is no financial impact. It is just to enter into an on-call consulting contract. So with that, I will entertain any questions that any council member may have.
All right, let's open public comment, and now we'll take questions from the council. Anything for Kevin? I can't see all of you, so holler if you're want to say something. I don't see any hands up.
Just have one question.
Okay.
Kevin, I think if I remember correctly, we had 4 different companies that put in the requests here, the contracts. Did we have any local companies that were interested or not?
On this one, we had 2. On the next one for the digester lid, we had 4. So of the 2, they were both local. One was in Fortuna here, and the other one was out of Arcata. It was pretty clear, though, with the proposal of who was the preferred consultant. But this particular company is based out of Arcata.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council?
I just, I'm remembering a few years back had some complaints of limbs and such from the trees on the parcel off of Ansel. So basically the houses that back up to the parcel and the trees there, had some concerns regarding the limbs and such. And I see this as a chance to remedy some of that and possibly, again, remove some property damage liability. I'm sure
Absolutely.
that's one of Kevin's concerns.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. That can be considered as part of the buffer as well to protect the structures.
All right, I'm not seeing any hands up from public, and Sienna, no phone calls. I can't see you.
Nope, there are no callers. There's nobody new on the
Okay.
meeting.
All right, thank you. So we'll close public comment and entertain a motion.
Go ahead and move to approve a professional services contract with BBW and Associates to provide professional forestry services for a 3-year period with the potential to extend services for up to 3 additional years, at which time renegotiation of fees may occur.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Sienna?
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Losi,
Yes.
Councilmember Stanfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Trent,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. Thank you. We're moving on to our second item, which is to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with FD Thomas Inc. for coating services for the anaerobic digester maintenance project, the exterior lid. Staff report.
Kevin Carter will also be presenting this item, Mayor Long.
As Mayor Long mentioned, this is the authorization to enter into contract with FD Thomas for coating services for the anaerobic digester exterior lid. So in October of last year, council authorized the interior coating of the digester, at which point that was completed and the digester was put back into service. And we decided to push off the exterior portion of the lid to be coated till this year to get better weather for the most part and to hopefully get better bids. And so in June of 2021, staff received 4 bids for the coating of the digester. The lowest responsive and responsible bid for the exterior coating came from FD Thomas Inc. in the amount of $183,560. The project is included in the 2021-2022 budget in the amount of $225,000 and is funded entirely out of Fund 560. The bid amount for the exterior coating portion of the project, which is the $183,560, and also staff is requesting that the council authorize a total contract amount of $201,916 to allow for a 10% contingency. With the potential additional contract support from our consultant, estimated to be about $7,000 added onto that. That will still leave roughly $210,000 as the not to exceed amount, leaving us well underneath budget, which is anticipated at this time for this project. We're hoping to get the contractor on site soon while we still have this good weather and get this project completed. So with that, I will be happy to entertain any questions.
All right, once again, we'll open public comment on this item where the council ask any questions they might have for Kevin. Anyone?
I got a question. From the putting into service of the digester to this maintenance period, how long was that, and how long do we, I know that it was overextended, but how long do we expect this coating period to last?
So the digester will stay in service while the exterior is being coated. So it won't be taken down at all. But during the interior coating portion, we took it out of service for quite a period of time. And we have Christopher Christensen here with our chief plant operator. If I remember, it was roughly around 4 months. And that included the ability to be able to clean the interior, set up scaffolding, and then coat the interior and then put it back into service. And that was really a lot of work. Staff had to do a bunch of work to turn the process. It just changed the entire process that the treatment of wastewater happens here at the city of Fortuna, from what is considered anaerobic in the digester to an aerobic process. And that really took quite a while. We are still, to be honest, recovering from that, because it does take time to process that material, because it creates a lot more solids through the aerobic process. And we're still trying to compost that and trying to dry it out and get it going. We're very close to completing that process. And so Chris, if you have anything that you'd like to add on Councilmember Johnson's question, that would be great.
Yes, hello, thank you. We're really looking forward to getting our digester exterior coated and well protected, and hopefully have another 2 decades of protection on that or more. It was out of service for probably maybe 6 months, and it's been in service for maybe since February. And yeah, we really don't want to take it out of service again if we can help it. So we're looking forward to FD Thomas's expertise to keep it in service and be able to code it.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
I do have a question, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Has the city done business with FD Thomas before?
Yes, FD Thomas was the original coder of the digester during when it was originally installed.
Okay, so I noticed that between the 4 bids, there was quite a difference, even from the lowest bid. Next lowest from FD Thomas was over $44,000 difference, and from the top bid to their bid was almost $170,000, which is quite a spread.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we do have some experience with them.
Yeah, and thank you for pointing that out. Your attachment is a detailed breakdown of the bids that were received. There's one other contractor that did the interior coating. They did not bid on this. I would have expected their bid to be very similar to FD Thomas. Them along with FD Thomas actually came out and looked at the digester. The other companies, if my memory serves me, I believe ESM may have come out, but they were so high. The other companies, I think, just did it based on the information in the bid documents and not an actual site visit. So I was glad to see that it came from somebody who came out, looked at the site, and have a good idea of what they're getting into, and what the condition is, what they're going to be expected with of them, and what the site conditions are working around. So that was good to see that somebody who did show up actually bid on it and won it.
Thank you, Kevin.
Any other questions from council? Seeing no hands up from the public, I'm going to close public comment. And if there are no further questions, we can entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with FD Thomas Incorporated for digester exterior coating services for the anaerobic digester maintenance project.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Sienna?
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Losi,
Yes.
Councilmember Stanfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Trent,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. Thank you. Moving on to our next item. Professional services contract agreement with GHD for the Jameson Creek Fish Passage Improvement Project. Staff report, please.
Yeah, Deputy, our city engineer, excuse me, Brendan Bird has, it will be providing that staff report.
Thank you, Merritt, and thank you, Honorable Mayor and City Council. I know we've had a full agenda this evening, so in the interest of time, I'll be brief, but please feel free to ask any questions on the tail end if there's something I miss in this staff report. So the Jameson Creek Fish Passage Improvement Project included installing a new precast concrete box culvert and roughened channel at the Jameson Creek and Ronerville Road crossing. These improvements replaced a failing culvert that had reached the end of its serviceable life and have greatly improved the stability of the road, the surrounding embankments, while also allowing for fish passage for all stages of salmonids. The project was fully funded from design through construction by grants from the Department of Fish and Wildlife and the Wildlife Conservation Board, and the project was substantially completed in November of 2020. Since that time, staff and our engineering consultant, GHD, have been engaged in monitoring the performance of the project to ensure that it is meeting the design intent. This monitoring is part of the city's existing contract with GHD and is typical for restoration projects that are awarded grant funding through CDFW. During these observations, the project team has noticed some indicators that the stream channel is not fully sealing. We did have a pretty mild winter, and it's a lot of the time some of the heavier flows that help with sealing of the channel. So based on the flow monitoring efforts this winter and some routine observations, this issue does not appear to be affecting water quality, fish passage, or the integrity of the improvements in any way. However, the project team would like the contractor to take some remedial action to improve performance and to expedite the sealing process of the roughened channel. The additional work is planned to take place this coming August, and the construction portion of the work is fully budgeted in the city's upcoming budget and will be covered in full by the grants that are covering the rest of the project cost. City staff would also like to retain our existing engineering consultant, GHD, to perform the additional construction, engineering, and biological clearance tasks to support the upcoming work. To do so, staff is recommending that council approve a contract and budget amendment with GHD in the amount of $33,600, as this additional scope of work and fee would take them beyond their previously approved contract funding limit. As noted in the staff report, this additional budget for GHD would also be covered in full by the grants for the project, and the expenditures have already been fully budgeted from funds 359 and 350 in the current fiscal year operating budget. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have on this item, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Brendan. We'll open public comment and go to the council first with any questions or comments for Brendan.
I got a question. From what your work plan looks like, this should not require any traffic control closures or anything on Warnerville Road. Is that right?
I think what may happen for some portion of the work is we're going to have them kind of working on that wide shoulder area. So there may be some times where they do a single lane closure with traffic control or something along those lines. You know, unfortunately, access into the site now that the road is fully reestablished is tricky. So there's going to be likely something, but I don't think it's going to be in, you know, to any, of course, amount that it was during the project itself with, you know, a full road closure and things along that nature. We'll try to do everything we can to stay within that footprint, but there may be limitations to that once we see how the contractor is going to want to work on the site.
You'll be able to use, would you be able to use the culvert for the bypass, you know, pumping it through with the hoses, obviously, but
absolutely,
yeah, wouldn't require hoses across the road.
Yes. So what we're looking to do is, because it's all set up now, you know, we will have to do a stream diversion, which in this case can be a gravity diversion through the culvert, and it won't require excessive pumping or anything like that. And we anticipate the majority of the real work to occur probably within a 5 to 6 working day period. So it shouldn't be drug on for very long at all. But
all right, thank you.
Brandon, can you help me understand this a little bit more? I'm not completely understanding what we're doing here and why we're doing it.
Yeah, of course. So with this project, one of the things that we had to do, because the downstream portion of the creek had become so what's called incised or eroded further below what was the upstream condition, it required to make the bridge between the two sides of the road to rebuild the channel. And when you rebuild a channel of that size and with that level of slope to it, you need to put a lot of larger rock into it. And the rock has to be placed pretty thick in order for it to be resilient to high flows through the years, in which case, you know, we typically look at about the 100-year flow when you look at how to design or how to size certain features. So what happens when you place that much rock is you work diligently with the contractor to try and get every little void filled you can, but there's naturally going to be some areas where you're losing a little bit of water, and it's through no means other than, you can't make it absolutely perfect and watertight. So what we're looking at is a few little areas where water seems to be kind of going behind a few rocks in some additional places. And these are places that we feel like we could just improve the ceiling and fill some voids in those areas. Again, it's not for anything other than getting to where we want to be faster. It's not a deficiency in construction. It's not a deficiency in design. It's just one of the little quirks that sometimes comes with this type of work. And, we're fortunate that in this particular case, we still have a contractor under contract, and we still have budget to complete this item of work. So it's not a major thing, but it's something that we would certainly like to address while we still have everybody here and available, and can hopefully close the book on it and all feel good about the improvement moving forward.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I'm not seeing any hands raised. Sienna, no phone calls. All right, we'll close public comment.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract amendment for the Jameson Creek Fish Passage Improvement Project with GHD and authorize the city manager to sign a contract amendment for $33,600.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Sienna?
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Losi,
Yes.
Councilmember Stanfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Trent,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. Thank you, Brendan. Our next item is the supplemental, approve the Avery subdivision map and accept the dedications and improvements, resolution 2021-23. Staff report, please.
Liz Shorey, our Deputy Director of Community Development, will be providing the staff report.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. So I'm happy to be presenting this and having a subdivision project moving forward and kind of coming to fruition here after a couple of years of a lot of work by the developer. So this is coming to the council because under the Subdivision Map Act, the council must approve subdivision maps and accept the easements and dedications before the map can get recorded. That's just the process that's dictated by the Map Act. So this is, somewhat procedural in that regard. And this is required for final maps or tract maps, which are major subdivisions, as opposed to minor subdivisions of 4 or fewer, which you see those get approved and they don't come to the council. And that's why it's just a distinction. And we really haven't had one of these, a major subdivision coming to the council for approval really since around 2008, when we had a lot of the big subdivisions, Gullickson, which are the ones, Xavier Court and Riverview Terrace are the big ones that were, those were the last maps that went to the council. And now we do have 2. We have the Fitzy subdivision, a tentative map that got approved, and then the Smith Lane, the Adams multifamily. So those are 2 that have been approved tentatively, and eventually they will come to the council when those are ready. So in this case, the applicant has submitted the map for recordation and completed the public improvements. So it's ready to record. And I'll just give you a really quick refresher on the project. Just a couple of minutes here of an overview. Let's see. So this is just the tentative map that was approved by the council in November 2008. And you can see that it's on about a 2-acre parcel. And it's north of Avery Court, and the new road is, it's north of Alder Drive. And the new road extends off of Alder Drive, and that will be Avery Court. It's about a 500-foot road with a cul-de-sac. And the subdivision includes 8 single-family parcels along that road, and then a commercial parcel. This was divided off in phase 1. That was on a parcel map, so it didn't come to the council. And then this, the residential portion is phase 2. And all of the public improvements have been installed. That includes new public road, sidewalk on one side, the underground utilities and storm drainage improvements, and then other miscellaneous improvements like the fire hydrant and the mailboxes and mailbox and things like that. So you can also see on this subdivision, the Rona Creek does pass through. That includes the portion with the widening, storm drainage improvements and the vegetation improvements. And then this to the north is the overflow channel. So that's under a city easement, and obviously it needs to stay there for the long term, and that's why this road won't is not expected to go through to the north, and this is why there's not a sidewalk on that north side. So the city engineer has reviewed and approved and signed the record drawings for those improvements. The record drawings depict the public improvements as they were constructed, and that's Brendan Bird. So if you have any questions, he's been out on the site, over the last year, inspecting and working with the project engineer. In addition, the applicant is entering into a subdivision maintenance agreement, and that's required by the municipal code. So, which includes a 10%, a bond of 10% of the cost of the improvements, and entering into an agreement for a 1-year warranty period. So after 1 year, the improvements, oops, sorry, the improvements, they are all found to be sound, and then that bond is released. And that is in the amount. The public cost improvements are $429,559. So the warranty bond is 10% of that. And the map recordation will only take place once the warranty bond is posted. And we're still getting the signatures on the map, and the city fees will be paid, and the recorder's fees will be provided. And this is the aerial. So you can see just the lots and the landscaping and the neighborhood there. The zoning is R16. Those are all about 6,000 square foot lots. And then the commercial parcel, actually that should say phase 1 in the red. That's the commercial parcel, and then the brown is the R16. And then this is the public improvements that are done now. It's all of the public improvements. You can see the roads paved, the sidewalk, the fire hydrant, and you can see the fence that was installed to kind of create a barrier from the overflow channel, safety barrier, and also just to kind of delineate it and kind of keep people out of it. But I think it looks really nice and kind of becomes part of, just the ambiance of the neighborhood, as opposed to a chain link fence, but it is a sturdy fence that should last a long time. And this is the the view towards the high school. So kind of the same thing. And this is the final map that you would be approving. The final map, this is the cover page with the signatures and the dedications. And then the second page is the tract map itself, depicting the parcels and all of the surveying information. The final map has been reviewed by the city surveyor. He checks for the survey data in compliance with the California Land Surveyors Act, title information, and subdivision map act compliance. City engineer and city planner, we've reviewed it for compliance with the subdivision map act, and we review the council's conditions of approval, which are attached in your packet for your review, and any other applicable city ordinances. And Brendan and I work together really closely on getting to this point. There are a lot of steps, a lot of small ones, a lot of big ones, just working together to make sure, that all of the improvements are being fulfilled in accordance with the conditions of approval, and just that the process has all of the review components, and that the map reflects the tentative map that was approved by the council. So the staff recommendation is that you approve the map and accept the dedications and improvements, and that all of the conditions of approval, so all of the conditions of approval have been or will be fulfilled, and all the fees will be paid before the map's recorded. And what this step does is actually allows the city clerk to sign the map under the MAP Act, it says that the city clerk files the map. So she, Sienna will sign it, and that gives staff the authority to record it with the recorder's office. So that's all I have, and I'll turn that back to the council for any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Liz. We'll open public comment. Does anyone from the council have any comments or questions?
Just curious, Liz, who would be responsible for upkeep of that fence north of that?
It's in the public right of way. So yeah, there's the road, which is the public right of way, and then it protects the creek channel, the overflow channel. So it would be the city that would be maintaining it. Yeah.
I think I mentioned last time when we talked about this subdivision that I went out and visited it, and like you say, Liz, it's a clean subdivision. They've done it upright.
Yeah, I think Folkart, the developer, has really done a sound job. It does look nice.
Yeah.
Any other council members have comments or questions? I see no hands from the public and hearing no phone calls. We'll close public comment.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2021-23 and read by title only.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Sienna?
Resolution 2021-23, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Fortuna approving the Avery final map and accepting the dedications and improvements. Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Councilmember Losi?
Yes.
Councilmember Stanfield?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Trent?
Yes.
Mayor Long?
Yes. All right, thank you. Moving on to a supplemental budget request for a second K-9 for the Fortuna Police Department. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Sienna, can I share my screen?
You can.
Again, good evening, Mayor Long and honorable city council members. I'm excited to be here tonight to present a supplemental budget request and to recommend approval of the supplemental budget request for the purchase and deployment of a second K-9 team. In reviewing the needs assessment for the growth of our current K-9 program, the following were considered. Nationally, police departments must continue to assess force options and the methodology in which force options are deployed, K-9 programs remain one of the best all-around less lethal force options in existence. K-9s are the only force option that cannot be taken away from an officer and used against them. Due to the strict and regimented K-9 deployment matrix utilized, the decision to use a dog for apprehension is carefully considered and supervised. The use of K-9s present a significantly lessened social stigma when compared to other forms of force. And quite frankly, K-9s are a PR blessing when compared to other forms of force, which may easily be memorialized with the use of cell phones and other recording devices. Finally, K-9 teams give us an enormous risk management tool when it comes to utilizing a dog versus a police officer or human being, especially for those incidents that are inherently more dangerous. Secondly, within our region, the utilization of our K-9 teams increase organizational value with both internal and external stakeholders. Not only will FPD's K-9 teams provide a tangible resource for our immediate community, but will also provide a tangible resource for our allied agencies in the region during times of requested mutual aid. We are already seeing a different kind of connection with our community that cannot be replicated with other programs. We consistently and constantly have members of the community, children and their parents, businesses, and others wanting to meet and greet, spend time with, and take photographs with our current K-9 team. We also want to protect our new investment and avoid historic pitfalls. To remind the council, there was a 2-year gap between K-9 teams prior to the procurement of cane. Procurement can be a lengthy process, especially if an agency is holding out for a dog that is truly the right fit for its community. There is no reason to hurry the selection process. If the right dog is not available, wait. Using the U.S. Marine Corps doctrine, 2 is 1 and 1 is none, will enable the city to be prepared to maintain the canine program in the unfortunate event that the other dog becomes temporarily or permanently unavailable. In addition to the concept of redundancy, the procurement of a second canine will enable the patrol division to have the canine available as a blanket resource for augmentation to staffing versus having a canine available some of the time. And just to clarify that, with 2 dogs, each canine team will work opposite sides of the patrol deployment schedule, providing for a full blanket of coverage. The Fortuna Police Department will also maximize on our ability to stay in the fight on the war on drugs. Despite decriminalization efforts by the legislator, drug trafficking organizations, or DTOs, want to be strategic and do everything in their power to avoid detection and confiscation. The Fortuna Police have absolutely no intention of placing single-purpose canine teams into service. This means that all dogs will hold dual certifications in both patrol apprehension and narcotic detection. Where drug trafficking organizations present a clear and present danger to our community, the drug sniffing canine teams present a clear and present deterrent to would-be traffickers. Fortuna PD's drug sniffing canines will also present an acute and necessary tool which will directly increase both drug and asset seizure from criminals who traffic and/or use hidden compartments to traffic dangerous drugs into our community. As mentioned earlier, drug trafficking organizations become more strategic and more sophisticated each and every day. Because of Fortuna's unique geographical location, DTOs, or drug trafficking organizations, will avoid areas along Interstate 5 where there is heavy interdiction enforcement of freeways. Highway 299 and Highway 36 are easy workarounds to get past places like Glenn, Tehama, and Shasta County where interdiction enforcement is significant. In addition, 101 allows for an easy pipeline from the Bay Area into Humboldt County and beyond. Finally, our canine teams provide a sense of safety for community members during our special events. The presence of our canine at special events acts as a strong deterrent to would-be violence and/or potential acts of terrorism. Here, council can see the advantages matrix wheel, which focuses on 12 key components: perception, community safety, overall detection ability, the industry standards, force multipliers for the police department, psychological advantage, increased detection statistics, safer searching and better search times, availability of grant funding and financial support, crime reduction and deterrence, dual purpose tools, and overall increased officer safety. Reminding council and the community of the Guardian mindset. This year, Canine Kane and handler Dennis Steven ran in the 2021 Fortuna Rodeo Week 5K run. We want our canines in or around our events, presenting the clear deterrent so that we are avoiding any type of problematic issues and spending more time building positive relationships within our community. I would like council to take a look at a recent community poll where 78.2% of citizens felt safer knowing that the canine teams were active within their communities. And in addition, this poll shows that over 60% of citizens are actually familiar with the canine programs within their own communities. So here are the brass tacks. Over the last year, the Fortuna Police Department has received overwhelming community support in the form of financial donations toward a second canine team. In addition, department staff have established and maintained quality ongoing fundraising efforts, which have been extraordinarily successful. Due to the enormous community support and fundraising efforts, the procurement of a second canine team and the costs associated with handler benefits for fiscal year 21-22 is likely to be fully funded by donations without requiring funds from the general fund. This support has come in many forms, and we have had significant assistance from members of the community, businesses, city staff, and council members. Staff is projecting that fundraising and/or donations alone will continue to improve and that the program will ultimately be self-sustaining without requiring support from the general fund in future years. The finance department has worked alongside the police department on this project and has estimated the cost of handler benefits and associated overtime for fiscal year 21-22 to be approximately $20,000. The cost of procurement for the second canine has been estimated at $10,000. By utilizing the American Kennel Club's matching grant, like we did with Kane, the actual cost may only be $5,000 or possibly less with an all-new AKC 3-part grant that has just become available in the last few days. It is quite possible that procurement could be reduced to $2,500, but this is only a possibility at this time and not yet a fact. Okay. So with approval, the city council will essentially be entering into a win-win project with little to no impact to the fiscal year 21-22 budget. Council will be creatively augmenting PD staffing levels and arming the police department with a vital resource, which will, yes, it'll help me sleep better at night. Approval will bolster the department's ability to serve our community and protect our officers, assist our allied agencies in times of mutual aid requests, manage overall risk, deter dangerous drugs in our community, and focus on creative non-deadly force options, and also protect our initial investment and avoid historic pitfalls. As far as the financial impact, which is included in the staff report, the purchase of the canine is expected to be $10,000, and the cost for care and maintenance and compensation for the handler is expected to be approximately $20,000, which will bring the total program cost to approximately $30,000 for fiscal year 21-22. Currently, the Canine Donation Fund has approximately $23,000 and expected to generate at least $2,500 more, which will bring the Canine Donation Fund balance to $25,500. The approximate amount of the AKC matching grant received is $5,000. Therefore, the cost of purchasing the second canine can come 100% from donations and grant funding for fiscal year 21-22. The City Council also included $25,000 in fiscal year 21-22 for the city's canine program. This amount will cover the cost for the care and handling for the existing canine with an approximate surplus of $5,000. The second canine will not require any additional funding this fiscal year, and any surplus can be carried into future years for ongoing canine program costs. It is expected that staff will be able to obtain sustaining donations to fund the second canine. In the odd event that ongoing donations are not received, general fund dollars or asset forfeiture funds may be necessary to fund the second canine in the future, or a consideration can be made at that time to discontinue the program. And so on that, again, it's recommended that council review and approve the supplemental budget request for the second canine, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
All right, thank you, Chief. We'll open public comment. Any comments or questions from council members?
I've got a comment. This weekend at the rodeo, I saw Officer Stevens and Canine Kane posted up outside the gate and greeting kids and making his presence known, as you stated in your presentation. Just the presence can be a deterrence to possible bad actors. And I thought it was a great thing, especially with the kids coming up and being able to interact with Kane. And it's a positive reflection for the department. So thanks for that.
Thank you.
I also was at the rodeo working in the token booth, and I decided to bring a little donation box from the canine down there. And we had some little canes, as you can see, cute there. We got so much positive comments on the canine. You know, when people saw that, they just automatically put money in there. They're really happy with the canine that we have and real supportive. I didn't realize that the community loved the dog so much until I actually worked there, and so many people commented on that. So it was very positive.
I think that this is a fantastic move. I think one dog is amazing. Two dogs are fantastic. It just comes at a really, really positive time too, where the national attention is on law enforcement use of force. And as the chief pointed out, this is an alternative to deadly force, and it's a force option that officers have that they really do need out there. And chief, I think with the addition of a second dog, a second canine, we're all going to sleep better at night.
Absolutely. Thank you.
That was a pretty persuasive little presentation there, I must say.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I put something into it.
I think that if asset forfeiture funds are allowed to be used to fund that, I can't imagine that we would get in trouble with future funding if we just keep that in the back of our minds and retain some of our asset forfeiture money in the event that we can't fund it one year or a portion of it.
Absolutely.
I really do appreciate how aggressive Chief is with grants too, going after all these grants and getting so much paid for with grants. Thank you, Chief, for that.
Absolutely. My pleasure. We'll continue to pursue that aggressively.
In addition, it's obvious that the community supports Two Dogs with their, donations. This is amazing. So it's good to have that community support.
Yes.
So I'm not seeing anyone from the public wishing to comment, so we will close public comment. And if there are no more questions or comments, someone can make a motion.
I'll gladly make a motion to approve a supplemental budget request for a second K-9 in the amount of $30,000.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Sienna?
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Losi,
Yes.
Councilmember Stanfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Trent,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. All right, thank you. Moving on, our next business item is to approve removing the frozen status from the wastewater treatment plant wastewater operator 3, shift supervisor, and utilities worker 2, and approve changing the part-time status of the city custodian to full-time. That's like a lot.
I'll be brief. I'd just like to direct the council's attention to the 2 tables at the bottom of the staff report. Those really summarize it the best. And I'll just highlight the primary reasons why we want to make these changes. But very basically, the proposed action is to unfreeze the treatment plant shift supervisor and not to refill the utility superintendent this fiscal year, and to unfreeze the utility maintenance worker 2, which is part of our utilities crew, and then to freeze the treatment plant operator. So all these positions are funded both by water and wastewater. Our primary motivation for this, our existing utility superintendent has a lot of very valuable expertise in the wastewater area. And so we'd like him to do a transfer back over to the wastewater division. And then we'll have our deputy director of public works fill in and have our utility lead worker help fill in the role of the utility superintendent. So that's really our plan. Again, it just about balances. In fact, we save about $12,000 combined. Most of that $11,000 is from wastewater and about $500 from water. And again, it's a projection. So that's that'll represent a cost savings. The second part, which is to add a full-time facilities custodian and eliminate a part-time facilities custodian. In the preparation of last fiscal year's budget, we were very concerned about the impacts from the coronavirus pandemic, and we expected much less revenues than we actually received. And one of the cost-saving measures that we included in the budget was to eliminate the long-term position which the city had of a full-time facilities custodian. So last year was the first year in many years that there was not a full-time custodian. With the current job market, we've had a difficult time hiring and keeping part-time employees, and a facilities custodian is one of the lowest paid positions within the city. So our hope is that if we can increase it to a full-time position, that we can retain and attract folks who would seek that job for the benefits that there are. And we also, with the reopening of our facilities, the facility and custodian not only services places like City Hall, the police department, the administration buildings for public works, but they also assist with the cleaning at the River Lodge, the Monday Club, and facilities that we rent. So we didn't have good luck hiring part-time. We did have a service come in with mixed results. And so we feel like the best way to proceed and have that service of janitorial services is to bring a full-time staff on. So the budget implications are approximately $30,000 increase to the general fund, $1,800 both the water and wastewater funds, and then approximately $3,700 to the transit fund. So that's what the cost will be. But at this point, we've tried the lower cost alternatives, and those really haven't worked for the city. So that concludes my staff report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, we'll open public comment and then go to the council for questions or comments. Anybody? All right, and let's check the participants for hands. There are no hands. Nothing on your end, Sienna. We'll close public comment.
I'll make a motion to approve the removal of the frozen status of the wastewater treatment plant, wastewater operator 3, shift supervisor, and utility worker 2, and approve changing the part-time status of the city custodian to full-time and add the position to the full-time fiscal year 2021-22 pay schedule with a roll call vote.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Sienna?
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Losi,
Yes.
Councilmember Stanfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Trent,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes.
Are we stuck?
Mayor, are you there?
Yeah.
You're up for city manager's report.
Oh, sorry. I thought we were still waiting for Sue to announce that item. I was looking at this. Okay. So I don't have a lot to present for my city manager's report. Sorry. I was on vacation last week, and I just want to say I really appreciate our finance director, Aaron Family, stepping in as acting city manager while I was gone. And I think the council will probably have more to say about this, but our city clerk helping and putting together the city afloat with Renee Lindsay from the chamber and the mayor and our police department and all the allied support. I think people were very happy to see this event come back in, and I'm just pleased with our staff's performance and working with all the other communities members to pull that off. And I will say that I'm working with our city clerk. We'd like to get back to in-person meetings as soon as possible. We are working out the details, and we hope to be able to do that within the next month or so, and we'll be providing those details soon. But we don't have an official date for resuming to in-person meetings yet, but we're anxious to do that, and we'll be working towards that very soon. And that's all I have. You're on
You're
mute.
muted, Mayor Long.
I don't even see myself do that. Future agenda items. Nothing. All right, we'll move on to city council reports. Mike Johnson.
Well, our last HCOG meeting was canceled due to a lack of items at the time. And it was a good time to have it canceled in one aspect because we had a special event last week. And from the attendance from Wednesday with the kids games through Sunday for the presentation of awards right down there in the arena, it was pretty obvious that our community locally and a community at large in the county was ready for some of our events to come back. And with the help of City of Fortuna and staff, with the city council, the board of directors at the Fortuna Rodeo Association, we had a pretty great weekend of events, pretty great week of events. And it was amazing to see the turnout and amazing to see that with such a large crowd, It was pretty well behaved, and they came out to enjoy rodeo. They came out to enjoy the bullfighters and had a great time. And I just would like to say that with everybody working together, we provided some quality entertainment for our community, and I expect that to continue right in through this weekend with the Auto Expo. And with that in mind, I would like to point out that there is another event coming up that the kids will benefit from. And August 20th, a Friday in August, will be Lemonade Day, where our local youth can learn, kids actually can learn business and turning a profit, and making a business that can survive. And it's a chance to support them. Sometimes these guys are doing a lemonade stand so they can get a toy. And this shows them the value of hard work, and who knows what they'll grow up to be in the future. So remember, Friday, August 20th, and support our Lemonade Day kids. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you for all your hard work as one of the rodeo board directors. Mike Losey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I've got to echo what Mike said about the rodeo. It was amazing. We had a huge number of people in town. I attended the parade. It was great. I don't know if we got 100 entries, but it would have been nice to have that. I'm hoping that we did reach 100. We went to the rodeo on Saturday as well as Sunday. We worked the rodeo event Saturday night. The crowd was lined up from the entrance to the rodeo grounds all the way down Park Street and down Main Street. So they had a record turnout for Saturday night, and it was a great crowd. That there were very few problems, if any. I didn't see any, and everybody seemed to be really enjoying themselves, and it was just a great party. The board of directors, the rodeo board, just really deserve credit. And congratulations to Roy Curlis for being the master there and leading the parade. I mean, he did a great job. He's worked real hard throughout many years for the rodeo. So moving on to the RCEA front, Sue and I went to the Redwood Coast Airport Microgrid Project groundbreaking ceremony. That's a mouthful, on July 7th. And this is the microgrid solar energy project that we've been talking about over the last 6 months, 8 months. And we've been talking about it because this project is 100% renewable energy, and it's cutting edge. This project will be copied all over the state, if not the nation. And we had a lot of dignitaries to give a lot of speeches, including our congressman. We only had one little foul up, and that was when my cell phone went off in the middle of the congressman's speech, but that's okay. He didn't miss a beat on that. So it's this microgrid will be able to provide energy to the airport as well as the Coast Guard station for up to 2 weeks on an emergency basis, as well as then just ordinary energy. The system has enough energy, or it will generate enough energy, enough electricity to equivalent to power 500 households. So it is a huge project. I've got a meeting Wednesday, which is LAFCO, and another meeting Thursday for RCEA. So that's it.
All right, thanks, Mike. Jeremy.
For the Fortuna Business Improvement District, we've had our executive director submit her resignation. She got a new job, and tomorrow will be her last day. The council had a special meeting and put an interim executive director in place to help maintain the services provided by the Fortuna Business Improvement District. And a big thank you to Diana for her many years of service to Fortuna and the business community. I think we now have a full FBID board. The FBID board put on, or were greatly involved in the Tuesday night children's games at the Redwood Village Shopping Center. They coordinated face painting and firemen's games and a costume contest and things like that for the community. And then let's see. And then I just wanted to congratulate the city staff and police department for such a great week of events. I saw them all over the place all week long, putting up and taking down barriers and setting up cones and directing traffic. And I mean, it just, you guys make it look easy. You've been doing it for so long now that it's impressive to watch. So I appreciate everybody and their extra efforts during that time. I know that Bob Nat is also on the fair or the rodeo board, and that's more than his standard duties for sure during that time. So I appreciate him. And then I had a citizen come to me recently and talked about he voluntarily goes on his walks and takes a picker and a bag and continues to pick up litter throughout the community, and has noticed it seems to be on an uptick a little bit. And so he wanted to bring awareness to city to see if we can curtail that in some way, or maybe reintroduce an adopt a block program or something like that, or if we could get some city garbage bags or something that he'd have a place to dump those rather than leaning on the good graces of a neighbor that has extra space in their garbage can for that week. So I don't know if there's something we can do there, or if there's something we're already doing, but it's not as announced as it could be. I love staff's feedback or suggestions on that. Maybe that should have been on a future agenda. I don't know, but it was worth mentioning, and I appreciate Mr. Jackson's volunteerism to pick up that garbage every time he goes out on his walks. And I know there's other senior citizens and other citizens in general. He lives in Royal Crest, so that do that kind of work as well, just out of the goodness of their hearts. And it's greatly appreciated for anybody that's doing that kind of work for our city, keeping our place beautiful. And that's all I have to report.
All right, thanks, Jeremy. Tammy? Tammy, you're muted still.
Sorry. Thank you. First of all, I just want to say in a year and a half, it was so nice to see so many smiling faces and people having such a good time out in our community again. That just made me so happy. And I'm so proud to be part of a council that every single one of us wholeheartedly support our city, our staff, and all the events that went on with all the volunteering, the sponsoring, the extra work. Thank you, council. You should be proud of yourselves too. Our city staff did an excellent job. Parks is understaffed, but they killed it this weekend. They kept everything going. They did an excellent job. The police department was out there in full force. Not any problems that I saw. They did an excellent job. Sienna put on a great float, or, for the city with the help of Mayor. She helped quite a bit on that too. And other city employees, we just all pulled together and pulled off a great event in our city. It just makes me proud to be part of this council and part of this city. I did also want to mention that Kane here is available at the police department. He's one of our fundraisers, and hopefully he will be getting a second edition partner, you know, so you'll want to get the first edition because the second edition will be coming soon. The dog down there got so much support. This dog is probably, I met him for the first time. Good, you got yours too. I met him for the first time. He is such a loving, kind dog. The kids absolutely love him. And Chief, it's going to be hard to get another dog this good, but I hope that we do. The rodeo brought in the only mounted military honor guard, and they were very impressive. Marines, the Marine Honor Guard. Chief, I believe that's what you were in, was the Marines, wasn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yep. Well, they did an excellent job, and it just gave you goosebumps watching them out there. Everything through the whole rodeo just was so impressive and so good. It was such an enjoyable weekend. So I just want to thank everybody that was involved, everybody that came, and everybody that enjoyed themselves. So that's all I have to report.
Thank you,
Just
Tam.
wondering if you were able to use your heater.
I didn't have to use my heater. I did bring it, but I didn't have to use it because the sun actually came out and it was not bad. But thanks for the electricity in case I needed to.
All right, there is a lot going on in our town. So much fun. So backing up a little bit, the senior center, or the senior group, had their groundbreaking ceremony for their new senior center that's going to be built on the corner of Gullickson Drive and Runnerville Road on June 29th. So that was pretty exciting. During our REDEC meeting, we did an evaluation for our director, Greg Foster. We decided we probably should keep him. We passed the budget. So that's kind of the normal city business, kind of boring stuff. And then we get to all the fun stuff. So the 3rd of July event went off really well. We only had the fireworks again this year, but with the help of the fire department and the high school, everything went off without a hitch. And we cleaned up the next day, cleaned up the high school with Went Crew. And so that was a good event. And I'm not glad we didn't have the festival, but I'm kind of thrilled that the first big, huge thing was the rodeo celebration, because it was 100 years and that was our first big city event. So in that respect, I was kind of glad that we didn't have the fireworks festival part of it and we only had fireworks. Sienna, can you share your screen? Because we have bragging rights. So we had a small crew, but we had a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of visioning by Sienna that we shared in. We kind of got it as she went along and said what we were going to do with these big cardboard boxes. And so we had a really fun time making our float, and we got a trophy, and we were so thrilled because normally what we get is that we have first place civic trophy, and we got theme, and we didn't even notice it at first, and all of a sudden we noticed this, hey, it's theme, it's not civic. So that means we competed with every float that was in the rodeo, and we were beyond thrilled. So a huge thank you to our little crew that got this all together, and all the hard work and the scrounging for materials and figuring out, you know, we're really good with duct tape, zip ties, and bungee cords. You just bring them on and we can build you something. So really fun time, and glad that I was able to be involved. And thank you for Sienna for always having the enthusiasm to want to do a rodeo float. Appreciate you. And then Renee was a huge part of that and really appreciated her too. So Roy Curlis was so thrilled to be the Grand Marshal, and choked up a few times when he talked about it, and even at the rodeo itself when they gave him the mic. So it was really cool to honor him because he's just been part of the rodeo for so many years. At the last minute, I wasn't expecting it. I got to present all the buckles to the rodeo board of directors, which is really cool. And Auto Expo's next. So we're just getting warmed up, and it's great to see everybody out and about. Couple things coming up this week. The Battle of the Badge blood drive Fortuna PD needs bragging rights. So if you could check out their Facebook page and figure out when and where you can donate so that Fortuna PD can pull it off and be ahead of the rest of the agencies around, that would be very much appreciated.
Thank you, Mayor.
Wednesday, there is going to be a ribbon cutting and ceremony. Lon mentioned it briefly here at the Fortuna Fire Department's new training center right here off Newburgh Road. So you can get to it either from Newburgh Road or you can get through it through the fire department. And they're going to name that new street Nicholson Way after Dave Nicholson, who recently passed away. So I'm hoping everybody can attend that Wednesday at 5:30. And I think that's it for things happening, which is a lot. And just going to have more fun now that things are opening up and people are getting out and about. So with that, we do have a closed session item, conference with real property negotiator pursuant to section 54956.8 of the government code. Property is APN 202051008 and a portion of APN 200411018. The city negotiator is City Manager Merritt Perry. The negotiating parties are Lauren Correll, Ill River Valley Foundation, and negotiation price in terms of payment. So if someone would like to make a motion to adjourn to closed session, that would be great.
I'll make a motion to adjourn to closed session.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to adjourn to closed session. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, we'll give a Sienna